Hi, I'm Sarah with People for Bikes. Thanks for joining us in this series as we share our passion for making biking better for everyone. For decades, U.S. traffic engineers assumed that people on bikes could almost always share the road with cars. But a shoulder, even a striped bike lane on a street with fast traffic isn't an appealing place to ride for most people. And putting a bike symbol in the middle of a busy thoroughfare doesn't make it a place where parents will ride with their children. Not all bike lanes are created equal, and the proof will be evident by who is using them. Think about who rides bikes in your community. Is it mostly fit and confident athletes? Do you see casual riders, women, and families? If not, this might be an indicator that your city lacks a safe, convenient, and attractive network, even if you have a system of bike lanes already in place. To learn how cities can build better bike lanes that are safe and comfortable for everyone, we spoke with Alicia Zimmerman. As Senior Transportation Engineer at Fox Tuttle Transportation Group, Alicia played a key role in designing and implementing Denver's first protected intersection and some of the city's earliest protected bike lanes.
60% of the general population, as we've studied recently, is really in that interested but concerned category about bicycling. Conventional bike lanes, as we kind of know them, both in history and even now, don't provide the same comfort, safety, and peace of mind that enables those interested but concerned population to ride their bikes more frequently and become a different kind of category of bicyclist. Conventional bike lanes don't offer that separation from both the moving vehicles and also the stationary parked cars. The door zone can actually be even a less safe place to ride statistically than adjacent to those moving vehicles, but those conventional bike lanes don't offer any separation from either of those. Conventional bike lanes, which are those bike lanes that are installed using paint, usually either immediately adjacent to a curb with no parking, or immediately adjacent to parking between the parking and the travel lane. And so they don't have horizontal separation from parked and moving cars, and they don't have vertical separation from parked and moving cars. Conventional bike lanes especially, and maybe particularly those installed long ago, they don't really adhere to current best practices in facility design for a number of different reasons. One of which is that they don't mitigate conflicts between users, and that can be even pedestrians, but particularly moving vehicles, as well as some other facilities do. And they also don't account for different types of vehicles. We now have scooters, we have e-bikes, e-scooters, cargo bikes, have just different dimensions now that we're designing for than we would have maybe 15 to 30 years ago.
We now know, based on both U.S. and international experience, what kind of infrastructure designs gives people of all ages and ability the sense of safety, comfort, and enjoyment that makes them want to ride. With some simple tweaks to your existing bike lanes, cities can start with low-cost separations using paint and plastic posts. Then over time, transition to more robust, permanent facilities like curbs and planters.
Two of the main types of those adapted, maybe better bike lanes being adopted nationwide are called buffered bike lanes and protected bike lanes. And those buffered bike lanes are typically the one that provide some kind of horizontal separation, where the protected bike lanes provide horizontal usually, but particularly vertical separation in some form. And those type of facilities increase safety without sacrificing some of that vehicular flow and as particularly pedestrian space to be able to be used by those other modes as well. And one of the benefits of both of these types of facilities that a lot of people don't recognize or put enough stake in is the beautification and kind of placemaking, environmental goals, as well as some economic goals for some of the businesses that they're adjacent. The key factor that people should consider in improving their bicycle infrastructure is the context. You can't design in a bubble. Sometimes we try and do it, and the facilities that are the most effective and the most highly utilized are the ones that are designed for their specific space, for their context. Considering street type and the populations being served, as well as the priorities of the stakeholders and the populations in the area. Funding is an important factor because it can absolutely define what you're able to do. And also possibly considering other alternatives if they're right, given those factors that I just talked through. Something like a shared street or a neighborhood greenway may work better than a buffered bike lane or protected bike lane for some contexts, lower volumes or lower speeds, for instance, or both. Tactical materials can be used for sure if you don't have the funding or if you're trying to experiment with your first more separated facility. Using those tactical materials in kind of a quick build may certainly be more feasible and more palatable politically as well. There are absolutely additional things beyond just the kind of cross-sectional component of a bike lane that we consider to help encourage bicycling and get people on their bikes. Thinking beyond that bike lane for things like protected intersections. Protected intersections are those that have a little bit more setback for bicycles and pedestrians as well, corner islands to help those vehicles have a better view of bicycles and pedestrians who are crossing. So the other component is also making sure you're looking at better bike amenities, the beginning and end of trip facilities like secure bike parking, as well as considering access to those facilities and access to things like equitably distributed bike share, and thinking about equitability and where you're putting your bike lanes is critical as well.
In Seattle, people traveling by bikes used a traditional bike lane sandwiched between moving cars and on-street parking along 2nd Avenue, resulting in a decade-long history of crashes and stagnant growth. But things changed in 2014, when the city decided to accelerate an upgrade of a protected bike lane in time for the launch of their new bike share system. In just 4 months, the protected bike lane was complete, and the number of people riding bikes along this street tripled. To learn more about Seattle's expanding bike network, we spoke with Monica DeWald from Seattle's Department of Transportation. Monica manages Seattle's Bicycle Master Plan and supported the city's COVID-19 mobility response, where 20 miles of neighborhood greenways were updated to new Stay Healthy streets. A new design that opened up streets to more people walking, rolling, and biking.
So we chose 2nd Avenue because 2nd Avenue had one of the highest collisions for bicyclists in the city of Seattle. We really had momentum with the community and council and mayor to build this facility as quickly as possible. So we went in and we built it in 4 months, but we knew building it quick wouldn't allow us the time to do all the civil improvements that we wanted to do. So we went back and we collected data on how it was operating. And we moved forward with building some more permanent civil improvements, such as raised crossings. We built more mast arms to align the signal heads, and we put in bicycle-specific signals to really ensure the safety of both cyclists, but also these improvements really improved safety for pedestrians as well. Once people saw how safe it felt, how comfortable it was to bike, there was a demand to build this, to make connections, to build a spine, if you will, to connect to the north and south end neighborhoods. We had council members support it. We had a huge group of advocates. And with the increase in the amount of ridership on this corridor, we had new cyclists, people who previously were a little uneasy about getting on a bike, were now avid cyclists. So building an all ages and abilities bike facility that has great support from the community, it's great connectivity, it takes you where you want to be. It really showed us that we can provide more funding and provide what people wanted. And what we realized is if you build a safe, desirable, all ages and abilities bike facility, people will use it, people will come. And one of the key things we focused on when building 2nd Avenue was we didn't want to reduce the level of service for transit travel times. So we worked with the signal timing to ensure that people could still move. Their travel times didn't change. As well as we worked with the businesses. There were some hotels and some loading zones, and we worked with those local businesses, listened to what they had to say, looked at their issues, and then made engineering changes to adjust and adapt. So collectively, when you have businesses on board, when you're not reducing travel times for transit, and you've improved a safe infrastructure, the political community really rallied around and supported not only the development of this, but it provided the momentum for us to build what we call the Center City Bike Network. And next thing you know, City Council adopted a resolution saying, SDOT, we want you to build these. We want more protected bike lanes in our downtown corridor. So I think once we built something great, we built up more community support, we built up more political support, we were able to build a connected network downtown.
On busier streets, separating bikes from cars is a win for everyone. Drivers like the predictability, bike riders like having their own space, and pedestrians get to walk without dodging bikes on the sidewalk. While every street won't be bike-friendly in the short term, careful planning and low-cost upgrades of your existing bike lanes will provide people with the confidence to bike to work, schools, markets, parks, and restaurants, or just explore on the weekends. Thanks for joining us as we looked at one of the ways your city can make bicycling better. Visit our City Ratings website for more tools and resources that will improve the health, livelihood, and future of our streets, cities, and planet. Together, let's create a better world through bikes.